All right, bonus round Friday. I heard somebody talking on a podcast the other day, and they were talking about main character syndrome and how it's this problem with kids these days, how they're inflating the difference between who they're trying to create on social media and then who they really are in real life. And what I really wanted to sort of break down and share is that what I see more than anything is people lacking main character syndrome. They lack the idea that they're the fucking main character in their life. And so they don't take it seriously. Like, we've got all these people that aren't taking their life seriously. They're not acting like the main character in their life. And if they were, what kind of results would you be getting? I mean, if you had that as a standard, if your standard was, hey, like, I am the main character in my life. I am the main character in what I'm trying to do. And if you took that and you said, I'm going to go hero level. I'm going to step up. I'm going to act like my own hero, like the hero that I need in life. So the thing about life is you get what you tolerate. And if you're tolerating being an NPC, if you're tolerating not being the main character, if you're putting everybody else first, if you don't have a degree of personal development, self-improvement, if you don't have a degree of saying, hey, I'm committed to being a certain level of man, then what are you doing? Like, do you really think that you were put here to not do big things? Do you really feel like you were put here to live a small life? At what point are you going to decide, I am the main character in my life? I am the common denominator. You know, it goes back to that quote. I can't remember who said it, but no matter where I go, there I am. Have you ever gotten away from you? I've never gotten away from me. I have been able to change me. I have been able to transform myself and go to different levels because that's the way that the game works. But if you really want to do that, well, you have to let go of the old you. As we're closing up 2023 and we're going to go into 2024 here, a lot of people out there may not understand. If you want to 10x your life in 2024, 80% of you right now has got to go. You've got to focus in and say, what is the 20% that I absolutely must keep? And then cut ruthlessly. You have to ruthlessly cut all the things that are not serving you if you want to go to a 10x level. And it's powerful when you start to realize this. Like, when you start understanding these fundamental principles, your ability to say no, like, that's something to practice right there. If you want to be the main character in your life, start practicing the word no. Say no. No, I'm not interested in going to dinner. No, I'm not interested in fucking up. No, I'm not interested in being a lesser version of myself. There's power in no, and it intimidates the hell out of most people. They're scared to say no. Why are you so scared to say no? It's your life. Why are you letting other people dictate your life? Because you're scared to say no to somebody. You're scared to say, hey, no, this doesn't align with who I wish to be. This doesn't align with the character and behavior of the person and the man that I view myself as. There's nothing wrong with that, man. There's everything wrong with not being the man that you're proud of. There's everything wrong with not being able to go look in the mirror. And I understand this. Dude, I'll tell you a little story real quick. I used to avoid looking in the mirror. I would avoid mirrors. I would walk around my apartment. I would walk around wherever I was, and I would try to avoid the mirrors. I was so disappointed in myself. I was so disappointed in the shadow of a man that I had allowed myself to become. Man, that was painful. It was painful. My ego was hurt. I know that I'm a massively talented dude, but I felt like I had squandered my talent. I wasn't living up to it. I wasn't being the guy that I knew that I could be. I wasn't being the man that I knew I needed to be for other people and for myself. And that's hard when you get there. And I have a chapter about that in my book called Own the Bottleneck and Sit with the Void. And I talk about it because I'm the bottleneck in my life, just like you're the bottleneck in your life. You are the single biggest bottleneck that is stopping you from going to the next level. So what people do is they busy themselves, convincing themselves that they need to work on everything else other than themselves when they themselves are the biggest bottleneck. And what happens is you stay so busy. You stay so busy the entire time with small tasks. You end up living a small life full of small actions because you weren't capable or you were too scared to say yes to some big things, which meant saying no to all those big actions. And that's where I was. I was saying yes to all the wrong things, all the things that didn't actually fit my life, all the things that weren't bringing me closer to the man that I was most proud of. So how'd that work out? It didn't work out very well. It didn't work out very well, and I nearly drank myself to death. It didn't work out, and I got buried up in debt. And, ultimately, you start collapsing in on yourself. At least that was my journey. And from there, I had to work extremely hard to rebuild that self-worth, to rebuild that worthiness, to rebuild myself from the ground up. But this time, I did it differently because my entire life, I had assumed that I had a blueprint for success, that I had a blueprint that was going to bring me where I wanted to go, that was going to allow me to get the things that I wanted to get and become the man that I knew I wanted to become. And yet that blueprint, it was flawed, man. Clearly it was flawed. And how do I know that? Well, obviously it was because I didn't have any of the things that I thought I wanted. I wasn't the man that I knew I could be. So where did that lead me? I had to come face to face with the fact that, yes, I did have a flawed blueprint. Yes, that's okay. Yes, my parents did the best that they could. But no, it's up to me. It's up to me to do better. It's up to me to shape my life. It's up to me to handle becoming a man. And everybody we have this habit in our culture of making all these excuses. And we want to blame it on our parents or, my dad didn't love me or, I didn't have good examples. But how many examples are there out there of other dudes who had way worse childhoods than me or plenty of other guys, and they still pulled themselves out of it? Ultimately, as men, we are the common denominator. We are the ones that are responsible for our lives, nobody else. And no, it's not fair. We don't get to choose what zip code we're born in. We don't get to choose how tall we are or how, we look or many of our features. But we do get to respond. We get to respond to our situation, to our environment, and we get that choice. Viktor Frankl talks about this a lot in Man's Search for Meaning. That ultimately, that is part of the biggest thing in life is the idea that you have the ability to respond. Just like he did in a Nazi concentration camp, he had the ability to respond differently, to be able to have gratitude. He has a part in there where he's laying on a bed, he's sick and like near death at this point. But outside he can see this oak, or he can see this tree. I don't even remember the tree. But he has such gratitude and he has the perspective to be able to sit there and think, how long has that tree been there? How long will that tree be there after he's gone? How long will that go? And how beautiful it is. Just simply how beautiful. And getting to have that experience. It's probably why he survived and others didn't. Wouldn't you say? I'd say so. I'd say it's being able to frame and recontextualize your environment so that you can thrive, so that it doesn't matter where you're at. Like, I'm in paradise right now. For me, this is great. I'm over in Idaho and I'm in the mountains. I have these beautiful trees around me. It's a nice sunny day, but it's also nice and cool out here. I've got a nice breeze. But even if I lived back in Dallas, and I lived in the heart of Dallas for over a decade, even if I was living there and I said, hey, every day I would find things to be grateful for. You can just drive around and find stuff to be grateful for. And it's as simple as that. And the most grateful thing that you can do is actually develop a little bit of main character syndrome, actually develop a little bit of self-awareness, be honest with yourself, get truthful about where you're at, and if you're not, decide to fucking change it. Be the main character in your life. You want to have gratitude for life? Show some gratitude and start showing up. Show some gratitude and actually get to the point where you're like, here I am, motherfucker. I am the main character of my life. I am going to go hero level. I am going to get stuck at that level. I'm going to show up at such a high level, I just get stuck there. People don't even know that there's a different level there. People don't even know because I can't go lower. Because that's the commitment that you have. All right, guys. I think that's it for now. It's a Friday bonus. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Be great.